The World Without Money. Written by Mark Ranger. Narrated by Peter Baker. My name is Mark Ranger, and I was born in London, England, in 1965. I'm among the first generation of black people born in the UK of Jamaican parentage. Those were the days when black people had to fight on two fronts, literally to survive. We fought both racism and poverty. I went to Tiverton Junior School and Northumberland Park Senior School, both in Tottenham, North London. I left school with no qualifications and had a brief spell in prison for my involvement in the Broadwater Farm riot that took place in 1985. At that time, I was anti-authority because of the sus law, or stop and search as it was known, and the disproportionate ill treatment of black people by the police at that time. However, for some time now, my eyes have been opened to the fact that the condition and environment of one's life can have an effect on one's actions. On the 23rd of June 1948, the HMT Empire Windrush arrived in the UK. My grandfather, Joseph Wright, was the first of my family to arrive in the UK. He was unable to read or write, but he still managed to get his family into the UK, and I'm so proud to have known such a man. He worked very hard and came together with other Caribbean folk to form what is called a partner, which is a savings scheme. This is how he managed to get his wife, Anna Wright, and their children into the UK, including my mother, Jessie Wright. I am the fourth child of my mother, who herself had to work in factories doing night and day shifts. My mother had wanted a good education for us, but due to the struggle of everyday life, she had to rely on the teachers in my school to take on that responsibility. I could go deeper into my history, and maybe someday I will. But needless to say, we did not have it easy. Well, what I've talked about forms part of my journey, which has led to the motivation for me recording this audiobook. In my search for a better life, I've had influences ranging from friends and street connections, religion and various jobs. But in all of these areas, I still saw many people suffering. I've been to a few countries, plus I'm fortunate to have the internet, and have seen the degree of suffering greatly outweighing the success stories. In my 53 years on this planet, the conditions have gotten worse for the countless, but has always been fine for the few, even though we have had different political parties in power at different times, bringing home the reality that it's the monetary system failing the masses and suiting only a small number, making the case for an alternative to the economic mechanism we have in place now. It is my belief, in order to eliminate any problem, we must fight it from the root, a point put into me by my grandfather. I hope to show in this audiobook that at least 99% of our problems can be solved with money, but because money doesn't grow on trees and the majority of the world's wealth is in the hands of the few, clearly the monetary system is failing and is creating problems rather than solving problems. My motivation to write this is my longing to see the suffering on this planet come to an end. Chapter 1. Money System, the Menace. The money system. Is it working, or just a rotting corpse? Our very survival depends on money. It's connected to everything required to ensure we live a respectable and healthy life. This makes money the essential cog in the machinery we call life. With something as integral as money in our lives, we ought to pose the questions: is it safe? And does it work? You see, many people are suffering under the pressures of life and feel the money system's time is over and has become a rotting corpse. Money has caused a pandemic of epic proportion, with the majority of people living on and below the poverty line, with some of those feeling like death would be better than living in the conditions they find themselves in today. I believe we need a different system, one which will act as an antidote designed to save people from a life worse than death. The real answer to the question, is the money system working or not, lays within each individual, as it may be working for some, and it may not for others. However, if we take a look at the citizens of the world, the satisfaction level is very low among the vast majority, leading me to conclude the money system is not working. This system of money in exchange for goods dates back long ago. Before money, we had a barter system. I looked it up on Wikipedia. It said, with barter, an individual possessing any surplus of value, such as a measure of grain or a quantity of livestock, could directly exchange that for something perceived to have similar or greater value or utility, such as a clay pot or a tool. The capacity to carry out barter transactions is limited in that it depends on a coincidence of wants. The seller of food grain has to find the buyer who wants to buy grain, and who also could offer, in return, something the person wants to buy. There is no agreed standard measure into which both seller and buyer could exchange commodities according to their relative value of all the various goods and services offered by other potential barter partners. Well, that's what Wikipedia says. We can all agree that we've come a long way since then, and returning to barter would be a step in the wrong direction. One reason why the monetary system isn't working is that we have different countries using different currencies. This brings about different rates and depreciation between various currencies, leaving no level playing field. With no level playing field, you get conflicts between countries, with each racing to get the higher ground. And in every conflict, it's always the people and the planet which suffer. Most of the time, people blame governments when the situations are not as they would wish, and we may be right in doing so. Many think money will cure our problems relating to joblessness, economic hardship, and poor governance. This is because the monetary system touches all these areas. The harsh reality is that the present money system is the creator of most problems confronting us today, and no leadership we vote in can make life better for the masses unless they get rid of the festering corpse causing an epidemic, and that's money. After using the money system for so long, it's hard to imagine anything could replace it. However, something must. The important thing is, will it work? And will we be better off under something new? Our aim must be to create a system that caters to all. This is why we put people in positions of authority. We expect a structure or system to be put in place which is sound and strong enough to support any weight put on it. A system means a purposeful structure that consists of interrelated and interdependent elements, like components, entities, factors, members, parts, etc. Now, these items continually influence one another, directly or indirectly, to maintain their activity and the existence of the system, to achieve the goal of the system. Money, as a system, or even part of a system for good, can never work, because it is a problem creator, something I will prove in this audiobook. Countries' debt woes. When a country is going through problems, and their growth sector is not moving the way the powers that be would like, the country's currency starts to depreciate, leading to the cost of living increase for the citizens of said country. Countries which find themselves in this predicament for whatever reason tend to start borrowing money at a very high interest rate. This trend places people in a much worse predicament because the leadership of their countries are forced to increase taxes, or governments are required to create policies or adjust existing policies to try and pay off its debt. The irony is, once in debt, these countries will rarely find themselves out of debt again because of the high interest rates they're forced to pay back. This is tragic because the debt they find themselves in is now far more than they borrowed in the first place, making it almost impossible to pay the debt back. This leads to coup d'etat armed conflicts, with many losing their lives All this is caused because governments cannot do right by their citizens, and this stems mainly from a currency depreciation. You'd think enlightened, civilized people and nations would find a way to develop countries which find themselves in a poor situation so they would be able to maintain an acceptable standard. Instead, however, those countries become prey to be devoured by the debtors. Some argue, saying difficulties are being created on purpose to destabilize countries to gain access to oil and other mineral resources. However, the point is, debt causes poor governance, and the blame must be placed squarely on the money system. The illusion of money. The whole world is fixated on money, giving it more importance than the use of it, making money more relevant than the person using the money. This is really ironic, as money is meant to serve as an aid to humanity. If we tear away the veil or reveal the magic trick, we will see that all we really need is each other. Money is the tool used to create the illusion of need, meaning all we need is money, and all our problems will be solved. This could not be further from the truth, as money is the root cause of all our problems today, as everything of necessity has a price tag attached to it. I use the word illusion, as money gives you a false sense of security. It is the carrot used to control our every action. This carrot affects mainly the poorer classes in society, as not having the bare necessities of life sets the mindset for want and desire for a thing which really doesn't have any real value. This creates an unhealthy need, especially when the luxuries of life are so visible for all to see. The less fortunate people desire the good things they see the elite group having, and therein lies the problem, as the poorer classes will do almost anything to get out of poverty. At this point, controlling the mind of the vulnerable becomes the ultimate goal for those in power. In this current monetary system, people can own 10 houses, planes, boats, bicycles, and cars, while others don't own a bean. The illusion of ownership created by money makes those who don't have it want and desire to have what they see others having. This is one of the most important aspects of the money system, known as dangling a carrot. This causes and creates significant problems in societies, both criminally and mentally. Money addiction. Some people would do nearly anything just to get money. This type of person I call a money junkie, which means you have the same tendencies as a drug addict with an addiction. Money is more addictive than alcohol, cigarettes, hard and soft drugs. The fact is, most of the world has an addiction to chasing money, instead of spending time on the bettering of oneself, family, and humanity. Just like a junkie, we will kill for money, lie, rob, cheat, walk, run, and work for it. We'll dress up for it, even dress down for it, have sex, and also refuse sex just because of it. Marriages break up, families become disunited because of the absence of it. I find this barbaric and should have no place in a civilized world. There is a quote, "It's easier for a camel to pass through an eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the gates of heaven." I believe this is because money can distort your sense of reality and value, introducing greed and selfishness, cheating, envy, jealousy, or even murder. Yes, you even have people trying to kill you, or on the other hand, you having to kill just to protect your money and the items we used cash to obtain. The reason money has become so addictive is because it has become the key to success and survival, failure and death. The addiction is set to take on new levels unless something is done. Money has no value. Money in and of itself has no value and no real worth, yet we are made to feel like it is the most important asset in the world, more than life itself. However, if you have great quantities of money and nothing to spend it on, you would see it's only good to make a fire to keep you warm on a cold night. There are a sizable number of people with incurable diseases who have money and have woken up to the reality of it having no value or power to cure their sickness. It's times like this you realize that money is only useful when it can be attached to something of need. Value is not based on how much an item costs. It's the feeling you get about someone or something which makes it valuable to you. Value is judged by how much an item means to you and how far one is willing to go for it, or how much you're willing to hang on to it. Some people value their mother or their father, while others don't. It all depends on how an individual feels about them. It's easy to get caught up in the love of money instead of its functionary use. Money is the means by which we obtain everything: food, clothes, shelter, medicine, transportation, and luxuries. Money is the system we all know and understand. It is necessary to separate the two, money and item. It is then, and only then, that we can understand where the proper value lies. Countries and regimes under the thumb. Whenever a country's having problems, one of the first things affected is their currency. And if the currency or markets are affected negatively, then naturally the citizens suffer. When some countries' leadership are not seen to conform to a democratic path, the first course of action taken against that country is sanctions. Now, sanctions are a threatened penalty for disobeying a law or rule. To break a country because of its leadership by creating an economic unbalance, throwing them into a financial crisis, is savage. This negative economic impact is designed to affect the daily lives of the citizens, forcing its leadership to submit to the demands the other wishes impose. Sanctions affect food and medical supplies, causing chaos, mayhem, and death. You may believe some of these countries or regimes need to be placed under the thumb. This is because we're spoon-fed information by a media which is controlled, yes, by money interests. If survival is the primary motivation for actions, and money is the key to survival, and most of the money in the world is in the hands of a mere few, then sadly more people are going to suffer and die. A bitter pill to swallow, but our planet is sick and needs a strong antibiotic to kill this life-threatening illness called the monetary system. It might be hard to digest for most of you, and others may think my critique is a bit harsh and an attack on governments or genuine business interests, when in reality I'm just attempting to let you know the realism of the system of money. When you have money as the primary tool for survival, then this is what can and is happening, because everybody's top priority is to stay alive. There are some regimes and countries that are living under financial sanctions now, and you can find out from the government website. If you look at www.gov.uk/government/collections, and then you'll find the link to financial sanctions of countries right now, today. Have a look sometime. You won't believe the long list of countries that are under sanctions. Now, when people feel strongly about something, we should be able to understand their point of view. Every country has an army whose duty is to protect its citizens and their way of life. Given this as a backdrop, can a solution be found around a table for all the worries we're faced with today? Oh yeah, most definitely yes. Take away the worry in the equation, and the problem becomes minimal, then you have a basis for the situation to reach a peaceful resolution. Disputes between different countries are mainly due to economics or technology, with superpowers flexing their muscles. Not having a money system and having a policy of shared interest and shared information would solve these problems. People are tired, looking for a change which will bring an end to their suffering. People are waking up to this reality of needing change and are not prepared to go along with the same old mechanism. Crime prevention. The world without money is the best and only way forward if we want the best for the human family. The benefits will be real and vast. Crime would virtually be eliminated, as most crimes are a result of money, either directly or indirectly. We are a reactive people instead of a proactive people. We should not be focusing on crime and criminals. We should be considering how we can stop people becoming criminals and committing crimes. Looking at the causes of crime, we see 99% of the time it is because of money or the lack of resources needed to live. Nobody should have to be without the basic needs of life because of money, not if we care about human beings or if we are serious about eliminating crime. I believe we as people can enjoy the essential amenities to which everyone is entitled. Then the family unit will be strengthened. Additionally, the crime rate would fall, leading to a better society. So, if we eliminate the reason, we can kill the cause. This is just a small example of what the world without money could do. Tolerance, a key to world peace. Tolerance needs to be adopted so all can enjoy a peaceful coexistence. The world is big enough to contain like-minded people and circular-minded people. We can't expect everyone to be the same regarding thoughts and actions, and we can't expect everyone to have the same religion or even to be religious at all. There's so much wealth in diversity, people of every faith and people from different cultures, hues and countries. It's people from all over this planet which have cleared the path we're walking on today, and it's important to remember we must learn to separate the so-called faults we find in people as your wrong may be their right, and vice versa. Togetherness is not the same as oneness. Everyone should be respected for who and what they are. We have different views and outlooks on life, whether personal, professional, individual, cultural, community, or group-based. The fact is, our personal beliefs and actions should not infringe upon the rights of others. The monetary system we have now creates intolerance with differing viewpoints and actions from different individuals. Now, because of the needs money brings, people become short-sighted and impatient with each other, making us narrow-minded. Some of these views create confusion and conflicts, but a humane and fair system would bring about understanding and solve both armed and unarmed conflicts. Tolerance can stop armed and unarmed conflict, making them a thing of the past, whether the monetary system is in play or not. Tolerance requires that we walk a mile in each other's shoes and trying to understand why people think the way we do. I'm not suggesting that you agree with everyone's opinions or actions, but everyone should be able to live their lives with respect and dignity. The main thing in the world without money is that we all are each other's keepers. And this is not based on idealism, it's based on humanistic reality. Chapter 2. The Needs of the Many. We need a new system. Now, when asked what would replace the money system, my answer is always the same: the right one. A system which doesn't allow anyone to slip through a hole in the survival and equality net. With a new system, we must not leave anything to chance. We must repair all holes. We need a new system which ensures peace and security for all. A system that will be universal in its scope, as a division can no longer be a factor. The money system to date has no borders. It's in every country and every society. So it's a given for so many more reasons. The new system without money must have no borders. Money is used for trade purposes across the planet. So in order for the new structure to succeed, we would all be required to do our part. The policymakers will be working hard to create policies which make life easier, policies that would take care of all and not just a few. The right system must be a structure established to protect everyone, regardless of ethnicity, religion, or sex. This system would eliminate discriminations of any kind. The world without money would be humbling for some, but best for all. Rich people have feared that one day something like this would be put on the table because they feel being common or equal with others somehow lowers them. Meanwhile, the poorer classes have always wished for a time when they wouldn't have to worry so much about money. Also, religious people have prayed for a divine intervention which would end their suffering. However, it is said, faith without works is useless. The right system must have laws, rules, and regulations. This is critical for any new structure being put in place. Laws which appropriate the destiny we want to reach. Laws are created to protect people. However, under the money system, laws protect the system more than the individuals who are now suffering under its yoke. If our minds are occupied with paying bills and all the other distraction concerning money, we will not have the wherewithal to evolve our planet. We need the necessary freedom to explore evolutionary ideas, especially about food, health, mechanics, and engineering. This is essential. The new structure would need to ensure that evolution is key and would be given high standing among us, as evolution is advancement. One person who inspires me is a musician called Prince Ear. He quoted, "The wealthiest place in the world is the graveyard, because the people who died were unable to express and manifest their full potential. In the graveyards, there are inventions never invented, businesses never erected, songs that were never sung, books that never were written, ideas never nurtured, and people never realized." The money system is the cause of these losses, and the absence of the money system can bring humanity back and allow one to manifest their full potential. A system will breed new life with meaning and purpose. Chapter 3. The Reality. The monster needs to feed. At this point, money is something we need because it's the system which has been created, without which you and I cannot survive. It's the monster that needs to be fed. What do you mean, Mark, you say? Well, we need crime just so we can create more jobs like prison officials, court staff, lawyers, judges, prisons, and police officers. Can you imagine stopping crime and still having a money system in place? There's an article dubbed "The Real Cost of Prison" by Kevin Marsh, where he says, moral, social, and political arguments for and against prison are all very well, but what about value for money? In 1993, the UK prison population was 44,000. In 2008, when he wrote the article, it's over 83,000. This trend is set to continue. The government has recently announced an extra £3.8 billion to create 20,000 more prison places. Well, the total UK prison population in 2018 is 85,975, and that's 0.13% of the population. That's 82,056 men, 3,919 women. Men are 22 times as likely as women to be imprisoned. Now, think about it. We need criminals so we can create more jobs. Now let's think about those whose lives are being wasted in these prisons, and finally think about the countless innocent people who've suffered from the crimes committed, and the families of the so-called criminals themselves. The same could be said in every sector, including the health services. We need sick people so jobs can be created. However, it doesn't matter because the monster needs to be fed. This situation of jobs for wealth makes us feel money is good for everything and everyone. Yet, if we look at the ants and ask the question, do they need money to build their colonies? Do they need money to motivate each other to work for a better life? Are there ant prisons? Are there ant shopping malls? Bees pollinate flowers. They make honey from one end of the planet to the next. Do they rely on a financial system as a way to promote a better way of survival? Of course not. What makes human beings more civilized than the animals? Is it the money system, or the fact we don't have sex on the streets? Or is it we have an educational system? Are we more civilized than insects and fishes? Humans are the dominant force on the planet and by far the more superior, but are we more civilized? Is one more civilized because of their ability to use a knife and fork, or because of the capability to drive a car or fly a plane? That would make us more advanced, but not necessarily more civilized. Are animals and creatures fighting over oil and land? Do you think there may be different religions among the creatures? I must say at this time we don't look more civilized. As a matter of fact, we're in a terrible state as human beings and can learn a lot from what we refer to as the lower life forms. I'm just trying to paint a picture, so we may look at ourselves more critically to see what we have become, primarily due to living on the money train. We must kill this monster we have been feeding for so long. We need a real change, a change which would transform the condition of the masses. This transformation must happen on a global scale with global results. This planet must make a turn in the right direction, because if we keep going the way we are, we will run into something that'll kill 99% of us all. Shared interest and shared information. As established, the financial system creates competition and division. In a new paradigm, we must have a policy of shared interest and shared information. This would allow us to achieve new and inspiring breakthroughs in areas of advancement, coming from places we least expect and by people who we consider irrelevant and less advanced. It is known that hunger, starvation, and poverty can be stopped, with or without the money system. Nevertheless, it would be much harder with the monetary system in place. This is because of selfish interests and a so-called commitment to one's own citizens. Donald Trump's quote, "Make America Great Again." Americans who, by the way, are suffering themselves in some way or another. I believe this slogan should change to "Make our planet breathe again." Right now, we have scientists developing weapons for war and killing, with governments spending billions to be ahead of the rest regarding overt arms, plus chemical and biological weapons. What a waste. If all nations came together to work for the common good of everyone, this would bring unsurpassed benefits for everyone. They could be actively creating enhanced processing plants that could give the world food, which contains all the nutritional values in an easy-to-digest form. Something that could service the body for days without needing to eat every day, making the human family healthier and eliminate obesity, hunger, and malnutrition. Something like this could help us eliminate the intake of toxins into our bodies, which are killing us at a faster rate. The human body does not need a lot to be nourished and sustained. It simply needs the right vitamins and minerals to remain healthy and to live a long life. The ages at which we are dying is far too young. This is mainly due to our diet and stress, a statistic we can improve upon tremendously. Nutritionalists and people who study lifestyles and the body knows what I'm saying to be true. Conversely, truth doesn't make money. The human body is based on various systems and muscles. Once we overuse these muscles, they tend to weaken and give up, leading to complications and a shorter lifespan. This is the same for the human body. If the world could act together like the systems in our bodies, collaborating with each other's cutting-edge technology and information. The more conducive we make the environment for industries and countries to function in, leading to a healthier and more productive planet. There are plants and trees known by herbalists in Africa and other parts of the world. With the right technology in manufacturing, we could revolutionize the food and drug industries in a holistic and non-toxic way. Not for profit, but for the advancement of civilization. Countries could work together and collaborate on ideas to further advance the transportation industry. We could start seeing transport, which is good for the environment and doesn't need to rely so heavily on oil. Transportation that can use magnetic and gravitational systems, revolutionizing the transport industry. The same applies to engineering and construction. Once we move forward and start working together regardless of our differences, all this and more would be realized with shared interest and shared information. The results would be positively mind-blowing, leading to real benefits. Money in another form cannot work. If we replace money with another item which is used for trade purposes, it will render us back to square one, with people finding a way to monopolize on that creation, while others would be left behind, thus creating a divide and making an environment apt for crime, killing, robbing, stealing, and corrupt practices all over again. The only thing that can replace the system of money is a system of proper leadership or governance. We need leaders we can trust to organize and establish laws, regulations and rules which would help us to become reliant on our ability to do things for ourselves, making the necessities a reality for all without using money as the stimulus. Now, I hear some of you saying, what, more laws and rules? If we don't organize ourselves with a structure, there would be chaos. Think about it. In some countries, we still have what is called national service, where people who have left school are asked to work for free for their country. Also, in the time of war, draft call-ups are compulsory for people of a particular age group to ensure the safety and security of their nation and to have the numbers needed to win the war. These 2 points clearly show that at certain times working for no money is both acceptable and practical to achieve a purpose. Making work compulsory wasn't for nothing. It was put in place to make individuals do things they wouldn't normally do for the greater good, especially in times of crisis. I think we can agree that high crime rates, the family unit breaking down, unnecessary deaths, conflicts between countries and religions count as an emergency situation. Money is not something we need. In other words, notes or coins. We don't need a bartering system as such either. All we need is each other and the land with all its resources. As human beings, we need 2 main components, a sense of responsibility and commitment. You may ask yourself, why do I have to be responsible and commit myself to everyone? Because, in return, all will be accountable and committed to you, regardless of their religious beliefs, country of origin, and color of their skin. So, what does responsibility mean? Well, a person or thing for which one is responsible as a child is a responsibility to its parents. The state or fact of being responsible, answerable, or accountable for something within one's power, control, or management. Now, if everyone felt a sense of responsibility for one another, that feeling of duty would produce the need to protect each other, and we would become strong, like an unbreakable chain. It's a sense of responsibility that makes a father work hard for his family's welfare, and it's responsibility that makes the mother rise every 2 hours, denying herself sleep, to feed her newborn child. Once we realize that it's our own effort which brings the reward of comfort and a stress-free existence, then the desire for such a life will inspire us to embrace responsibility with all the seriousness it requires. If we wish to bring about equality and recognize the need to create a realm where we don't have to worry about the basics in life for ourselves and others, then the world without money will become our ultimate reality. In the world without money, we would be responsible for one another. The onus would be on ourselves to make life work as a whole, which wouldn't be as difficult as we think, as we are already doing it. The food we eat, the cars we drive, the houses we live in didn't just magically appear. Human beings provided them. More to the point, the cars, the houses, and the food didn't come from money. Coinage was the incentive, but it all came from the human minds and made by the human hands. It's time to show the buck stops with us. I know we can work and organize ourselves without the use of money and the money system. All we need is commitment. When you commit to something, it means the talking is over and action commences. Committed people get things done. Every team knows they need dedicated members to achieve the goal at hand. We have worked and been a dedicated team player for the money system and done quite well at it. However, if we could be committed to the world without money, the quality of life would improve for all. In a world without a money system, our first commitment would be to each other. We would ensure that all our energy would be used so we can all enjoy the basic amenities such as food, clothing, shelter, water, gas, electricity, medical treatment, and medicines. So, a sense of responsibility and commitment to your fellow man and woman needs to be the goal. It starts with a step. There are several ways the world without money process could start. Considering the point we are now, the current political process is a clear option. A political party with the courage to campaign based on the removal of the money system as a means to end poverty, division, crime, global hunger, wars, and corrupt practices would work if sincere. A political party with an aim and resolve to provide access to the necessities to everyone, with an assurance of a respectful and dignified life for all. This political process would be the easiest one to institute, as this is the way it's done in most parts of the world today. It's called democracy. A definition of democracy is the practice or principles of social equality. However, under the money system, the practice or principles of social equality would never be realized. Nelson Mandela of South Africa, when faced with the option of violence to rid South Africa of apartheid, he chose change through the best and safest route for the South African people. Showing no hatred for the oppressors at the time, he did it through the ballot box, and we can do the same. If such a political party were to think on a global level and join with political parties from around the world based on the same campaign strategy, it would be powerful. Their campaigns would display in which way they would introduce structures and systems, showing how they must work together, not for anything other than to make this planet a safer, better, more civilized, and a united place to live. Based on the principle of real equal rights and the advancement of this realm, such a political party would be one who could move this process forward and would receive many endorsements from the people who matter. A note here, those who didn't endorse such a campaign of improvement would stick out like a sore thumb. We have the power to choose how this planet Earth shall proceed. Remember, leaders are elected by us to serve us and work on our behalf. They're meant to be at our service, and we are expected to give them room to perform their function well, or we have the right to remove them and try again. However, somehow and somewhere along the line, we now serve the leaders. They make us all slaves, and the irony is that we've voted them into office. This political party can be new or old, as long as the agenda follows human rights and not human wrongs, which we now face with this current money system. Using the political process is a method of redress once our party is in office with the vast majority of people backing the policies. We can bring in the new system. If there could be unity between political parties and leadership from other countries, just like you have between countries which class themselves as allies today, this could be the making of the framework for the world without money. In most countries, you find embassies belonging to and looking out for the citizens residing in those countries. These can also be used as communication points for a united people who can work together, linking and sharing information and ideas for the betterment of the whole. It is a must for all countries to be a part of this process for several reasons, but mainly because everywhere uses the money to trade externally and internally. Two systems, one operating using money and the other without, cannot possibly work together at the same time. One system would have to give way to the other. Only a conflict will be born out of such a division. The resources would become a commodity for survival, which inevitably leads to wars and killing. The resources on the planet are not located in one place. They're scattered in different parts of the Earth, and these resources must be made available for all to benefit. So I can't express enough the importance of this being a global phenomenon. It cannot work successfully without everyone. As we have established ourselves on this planet, we must come together to make progress, because to continue as we are is certain death. We can form a new group, or get behind a political party which is thinking correctly. If we can adapt any of these two methods to start the process of the world without money, success would not be far away. Once the momentum begins, and the people of the globe decide that this is good for us as a whole, it's over. The third opinion is less pleasant, but still legal. We could stage a series of organized protests and petitions against the system of money. We can protest for the need for change based on the suffering of the masses. One can raise the issues this money system brings. The fact that there would never be peace in the world while money is the order of the day. The reason why I call this method the less pleasant one is when people take to the streets, some will use the opportunity to create problems. People use this type of opportunity to steal, set fire to buildings and shops, and to attack innocent non-combatants. All this would make the police move in to arrest people, and the press would then start reporting about the adverse actions of the few, thus losing the real issue and purpose of the rallying cry. We must protest online. The internet is always a good way to reach people who think as we do, and raise awareness with positive strategies to end poverty. With millions of people signing petitions and talking about having the world without money, this would cause a greater impact. Money divides. In society these days, one needs money to be given some degree of respect. The truth of what I'm saying could be better understood by looking at the class system. Individuals in the United Kingdom used to be labelled in the following 4 categories: poor, working class, middle class, and wealthy. Now, according to independent.co.uk, the UK now has 7 different class categories. This is what it says. These are the social classes in the UK. Precariat. This is the most deprived class of all, with low levels of economic, cultural and social capital. The everyday lives of members of this class are precarious. Traditional working class. This class scores low on all forms of the three capitals, although they're not the poorest group. The average age of this class is older than the others. Emergent service workers. This new class has low economic capital, but has high levels of emerging cultural capital and high social capital. This group is young and often found in urban areas. Technical middle class. This is a new small class with high economic capital, but seems less culturally engaged. They have relatively few social contacts and so are less socially engaged. New affluent workers. This class has medium levels of economic capital and higher levels of cultural and social capital. They are a young and active group. Established middle class. Members of this class have high levels of all three capitals, although not as high as the elite. They are a gregarious and culturally engaged class. And elite. This is the most privileged class in Great Britain, who have high levels of all three capitals. Their high amount of economic capital sets them apart from everybody else. Now, all these classes are judged on their financial capacity. Hitherto another example of money determining who we are. If we were to judge people by class categories, we would believe the individuals in the elite class to be better than the others. Money doesn't determine how good you are as a person, your character does. If we all had the same start and no one had to worry about the necessities of an arbitrary money system, then we would all be pretty much the same. In aeroplanes and trains, you have this same class system built around money. First class has a higher price and comes with special privileges, while economy class are for those with no or very little money. Usually it's at a very low standard, crowded and cheap. There are generally fewer individuals in the business class, with the majority of people in the economy class. Now, to me, wasted seats means wasted money. Given this reality, it would make more economic sense to provide better seating for the largest amount of consumers. It would make more business sense to have one class and make every seat nice and comfortable for all the passengers. This would inspire more people to use the services and create a better image for the airline or services. Unless, of course, the class division is not about money and more due to one's feeling that they're better than the other. Well, according to Wikipedia, the worst of all the classes is the precariat. The British economist Guy Standing has analysed the precariat as a newly emerging social class. His work, carried out for the policy network Think Tank, and a subsequent book, Guy says, Precariat, the new dangerous class, claims a basic income to be the solution for addressing the problem. Now, the new dangerous class is an interesting title. It begs the questions, what makes them dangerous? And will a basic income indeed solve the problem? What have we become when any sum of money can be used to control human beings? When there are people continuously lacking the necessities required to live with some degree of self-respect and dignity? These conditions the poor find themselves in provide the basis for them to be considered the dangerous class, and this will continue to be the case until we get away from the money system. The current structure will always present a divide or class category, bringing turmoil among the human family. The elite group would never be considered dangerous and also less likely to be in any danger. They are the protected class. Not so with the poorer classes. They, for the most part, are only dangerous to themselves, with most minor crimes committed mainly by poor people and against the poor or middle classes. Now, here's a question. How many elites do you find going to prison for any reason? I could go as far to say there would not be a prison system if it was based on the elite, because there would not be enough prisoners to warrant one. From the outside, poor people look wild and unpredictable to the rest of the classes, and this will never change under a money system. There are some cases of rags to riches stories, mainly from the sports, music and movie industries. This has only been good for a very small minority, but what about the masses who tried and unfortunately don't make it? The holiday seasons are the worst for the lower classes, because at these times of the year, being poor hurts the most. There are a lot of expectations and dreams, but not enough money to make them a reality. So the crime rate rises, relationships break down, and suicide increases, with Christmas quoted as the worst time for such deaths. A shameful situation for a civilized planet. Embarrassing even for the elite, because with all their money combined, you really can't change the situation the money system has created. Money also pits family members against each other, friend against friend, company against company, and country against country. I used to think religion was the biggest dividing factor with the human family. Conversely, I was wrong. There is no superior divider than money. Money divides covertly and overtly. It's both the hidden and seen hand behind many divisions. We must understand division is fundamental in stopping progress. Money hinders the development of our planet. It's weakening and it's killing families. It's killing friendships, companies, communities and countries. On the other hand, harmony strengthens families, friendships, companies, communities and countries, giving the planet the chance it needs to move to the next level of development. Integration does not mean oneness. It's simply togetherness. A Muslim and a Christian can be united around an issue which affects the multitude. Politicians from two sides can unite on issues in Parliament. I've seen rival gangs in America come together around the Ferguson crisis in the USA. During elections, you find Muslims, Christians, Jews and Gentiles voting in unison for the same party, whether it's the Labour Party, Conservative, Democrat or Republican. We have proven that when the need arises, when we deem it necessary, we can come together, regardless of creed or religious affiliation, all for the greater good. Political divide among political parties is an internal affair and can do irreplaceable damage to the fabric of society. This is limited to countries that have a multi-party state. My question is, how can a divided house reach its fullest potential? When you have two or more political parties in a country, it's a recipe for disaster. When a country is divided politically, it's not just affecting the politicians and policies, but also the growth of the nation involved. You have voters whom are passionate about one party and would commit acts of sabotage to make the opposition party look incompetent, all the time not realizing they're holding back their citizens and country. When you add money to the equation, it gives birth to corruption. Besides, politicians will be more aligned with party politics than to state and global issues. All politicians must be upfront, or, if they're behind closed doors, act based on partisan ranks. Political parties are more like a brotherhood than elected competent leadership. You have one political party waiting for the other to fail so that their party can get in office, whereas the focus should be making sure the citizens are not suffering. This division creates the avenue for the rich or the elite classes to fund one or even all political parties, just to gain favour for business interests. If our leaders can see that this system of money is not only not working, but it's causing problems and creating a huge divide, then we could abolish money and bring about a change. However, we must first agree the system of money honestly does not work and needs to die a quick death. Industries will thrive. Having the world without money does not mean industries would close or suffer. On the contrary, it means industries would grow in a more organized and beneficial way. The world without money relies on a sense of responsibility and commitment to the process and society as a whole. People working together must be organized for efficiency. We don't need companies and businesses to develop industries. The only thing we need is people and great ideas. In the money system, industries are set up so a demand for goods can be met and needs to be fulfilled. However, it is profits and competition driving them. Many say that competition is healthy because it motivates you. However, in the world without money, the superlative wouldn't be based on who can market themselves well or which companies are better at competing. The onus would be on mass production of the best that our engineers could manufacture. This does not mean one size fits all. It means everyone can have the best quality through colors, sizes, and styles can still suit individual people's tastes. In the world without money, industries will thrive as technology will have the best materials, gold, silver, or diamonds, as the cost wouldn't be an issue. We have families which will need homes to live in, and all must be provided for in a world without money. Most people who now own homes see them as investments, something that can make money. If they become financially constrained, they can use the equity to get themselves out of trouble. But in the world without money, the house is a home, somewhere you live. This is very important for the housing industry. If all of us had the mindset of a user rather than an owner, we could immediately eliminate selfishness, jealousy, greed, and envy. These are all conflicting emotions which lead to adverse actions and will destroy the harmony we're attempting to acquire. We must understand that everything on the planet is for our use and not for ownership. The issue of ownership is one of the illusions which money brings. The only thing we own is our souls, because that is all we take when we leave the earth. Think for a minute about what you own. All we need is an openly shared industry to reach levels of advancements never seen on this planet. We just need a shift in our thinking to see it as a reality. We must turn away from the coinage system to make this a reality. There is no better way if we want a better life for everyone. Wake up and take a good look at the world we're living in, and not the illusion created by people with their tool, money, if we want industries to thrive. Independence means 5 things. First of all, not being influenced or controlled by others in matters of opinion, conduct, etc., thinking or acting for oneself. 2. Not being subject to another's authority or jurisdiction, autonomous. 3. Not dependent, not depending or contingent upon something else for existence, operation, etc. 4. Not relying on another or others for aid or support. And 5. Rejecting others' aid or support, refusing to be under obligation to others. How can a person, country, or a nation be independent when we have a system based on money? Many people say, I want to be independent. Why? Point number 5, rejecting others' aid or support, Not relying on another or others for aid or support. So what happens if you fall sick and can't do anything for yourself? Would you not want or need help? Do you not have to rely on others for food, shelter, and clothing? And even if you grew your own food, built your own home, and sewed your clothes, does that make you independent? Will you produce your soil and seeds, make your cement, glass, wood, spin your thread, make your needles, and breed your livestock? Of course not. Independence is not real, and could never be real, until you could live without non-entities, including air. Independence is a form of selfishness, as it requires that you don't rely on anyone, and you in turn wouldn't want anyone to rely on yourself. You have countries on the continent of Africa and the Caribbean that have so-called independence, but rely on aid and bailouts from the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. They cannot or are not allowed to pool their resources and trade among themselves to have a degree of autonomy because of indebtedness to these money interests. The sooner we leave this idea of independence, the sooner we can understand unanimity in its practical form. Humans need to have others, not just of their own race or those in their own country, but everyone working with everybody for the greater good. Independence cannot be brought about by money, and personal independence leads to death. We can have a degree of autonomy, but not complete independence. We need to have a desire to engage one another, learn each other's cultures and backgrounds, learn about others' medical treatments, food science, building technologies, and cures for AIDS or even cancer may become a thing of the past. With real unity comes shared knowledge and shared resources. Can a world without money be a reality? In this section, we're going to talk about the elite versus the lion. Let me explain. Many people believe the world without money is good and very much needed. Nevertheless, they don't see how it can become a reality. They think the big money interest will block this book from seeing the light of day. They believe an elite secret society group will discredit it or kill me. I've been told that the elite would oppose the world without money, and various governments would never think of abolishing money. They're saying it'll never be a reality. My answer is always the same. Never say never. Don't underestimate people when their backs are against the wall. Don't see a lion asleep and think he's not dangerous. If people were given a way out of poverty, I believe they would take it, especially when they have nothing to lose. The place we find ourselves in today may not be the fault of this generation or the last, but it's in our power to bring about the change, so we can save generations yet to come. It will work if we make up our minds to start the process and become active in getting the idea out on a global level. Yes, we can absolutely make the world without money a reality. It's all down to the elite versus the lion. The cold reality. Which has more importance, money or human beings? In principle, humans have more value. However, every day we see needless lives lost due to money. The untold suffering caused by poverty, with countless people living without electricity and clean water, causing significant illnesses and hunger, leading to malnutrition. All this makes me believe, for some, money is valued more than human beings. Our poor and elderly would have a better and longer life without the stress attached to money. Emphasis on bills and living expenses being terminated, their way of life would be significantly improved. Did you know that a lot of our senior citizens die from cold-related illnesses during the winter months? I've got a press cutting here. Each winter, one older person dies needlessly every 7 minutes from the cold, it says. That's 200 deaths a day, which could have been prevented. This one from the Express. Every winter, 25,000 older people in England and Wales do not survive the bitter weather. That's 206 deaths a day. Those living in the coldest homes number most in the excess winter death rates and illness statistics, according to Age UK. They say 3.5 million fear they will not be able to afford their heating bill. Soaring energy bills are one of the main concerns over the winter months for around 5 million over 65s, found a report. A third of the population are worried about how they will pay to heat their homes, while 70% have fears over the high cost of energy. You know, the older we become, the worse our bodies respond to cold weather, increasing the likelihood of a heart attack, stroke, pneumonia, and breathing difficulties. Of the winter deaths that happen every year, 9 out of every 10 are older people. Age UK estimates that 1.7 million older people in the UK can't afford to heat their homes, and over a third, 36% of older people in the UK say they live mainly in one room to save money. As these statistics surmised, cold weather adds to the financial worries of our seniors. 30% say they avoid heating rooms like the bedroom, bathroom or living room because they're worried about the cost, and this is just in the UK. According to an article in Global Issues, some 21,000 children die every day around the world needlessly. That's the equivalent to one child dying every 4 seconds, 14 every minute. A 2011 Libya conflict scale death toll every day. That's a 2010 Haiti earthquake occurring every 10 days, or a 2004 Asian tsunami occurring every 11 days. The silent killers are poverty, hunger, easily preventable diseases, illnesses, and other related causes. Now, despite the scale of these daily ongoing challenges, it rarely manages to achieve or sustain prime time and headline coverage. Poverty and hunger are real, and according to the World Food Programme, the next 9 facts I'm going to tell you will make you ask why more isn't being done. Here we go. 1. Sub-Saharan Africa is the region with the highest prevalence, that's the percentage of population, of hunger. 1 person in 4 here is undernourished. 2. Some 805 million inhabitants in the world do not have enough food to lead a healthy, active life. That's about 1 in 9 of the people on the earth. 3. The vast majority of the world's hungry people live in developing countries, where 13.5% of the population is undernourished. 4. Asia is the continent with a starving people, 2/3 of the total. The percentage in southern Asia has fallen in recent years, but in western Asia it has increased slightly. 5. Poor nutrition causes nearly half, as 45%, of deaths in children under 5, 3.1 million children each year. 6. 1 out of 6 children, roughly 100 million, in developing countries is underweight. 7. 1 in 4 of the world's children is stunted in developing countries. The proportion can rise to 1 in 3. 8. If women farmers had the same access to resources as men, the number of hungry people in the world could be reduced by up to 150 million. And 9. 66 million primary school-aged children attend classes hungry across the developing countries, with 23 million in Africa alone. When I reflect on those 9 facts created by this system, I can't help but think this is a crying shame. In this current monetary system, we have nothing worthy to mention that helps people other than charities. Needless to say, these charities do an outstanding work and should be supported. However, we are not able to eradicate hunger, malnutrition, or our elderly dying and suffering in deplorable conditions, relying on charities alone. Without the money system we have in place, I believe this suffering would be a thing of the past. Health-related. Money stops us from enjoying life, both physically and emotionally. Most people can't afford to eat a healthy meal because the best foods cost more. Many people are suffering from physical labor pressures, working from morning until late evening, just trying to make ends meet. Those of us who might have a house might not be able to make our mortgage payments due to more and more financial constraints being imposed. The cost of living just keeps on getting higher, with many not being able to put their youngsters through university, heightening our stress level to danger without even realizing it. Some people work 2 or even 3 jobs just to exist, and all this takes a toll on the physical body. Can you imagine the emotional trauma people are going through on a daily basis? The stress of living in a monetary, inhumane society leads to suicide and serious mental health conditions. This routine is non-productive and shortens lives. Is this stressful environment the best we can develop in what we call a civilized society? Money is the main ingredient to life or death, depending on your viewpoint. All the same, money and the money system is very dangerous, and something as hazardous like money is a major concern and should come with a health warning. Let me give you some examples. 1. Money can have a devastating effect on our lives and can result in the breakdown of families. 2. Money can lead to suicide or cause severe mental conditions. 3. Money has been known to get you killed by desperate people trying to survive. 4. Remember, without money, you could die of hunger. Caution. Please pay particular attention to the warning notice referring to the mindset before seeking to obtain money and the effects having or not having money causes. Now, once you've been able, against all odds, to get money, there are some side effects to be aware of: greed, selfishness, arrogance, and duplicity. This ends the health warning. Disunity, the virus. There are a lot of people who may think we can't get rid of money, as we need unity first, and there are so many problems on the planet, like religious diversity, race issues, political differences, wars, and disputes between different countries. It's true, disunity is a virus that's killing the evolution of our planet. And I do agree, everyone needs to be on the same page to usher in the world without money. I believe if money as a system can cut across every line, then so can right, truth, and common sense, especially among the religious communities. Every religious person prays for a better life with freedom to live in harmony with their God, even if it is just to avoid hell. They want good things in their lives, and they also want to bring good into the lives of others. Religious divisions, with people being killed in the name of faiths, are severe. Most people fighting in the name of faith believe their way of life is being threatened, and their very survival as a religion and as a people is under attack. In a world without money, accord between the people of the planet Earth would be the order of the day. Things like nuclear weapons and superpowers would be a thing of the past, which is a major plus as far as world peace is concerned. The UK crime statistics charts show antisocial behaviour is very high. Antisocial behaviour refers to actions which harm or lack consideration for the well-being of others, which is a direct result of dissatisfaction with how life is going, both personally and globally. Something which can practically be eradicated with a new system. Concerning the issue of race, whenever someone is ill, the only thing they care about is receiving competent care from a qualified doctor. The issue of the physician's race or ethnicity does not enter their minds as a concern. Is he or she a qualified doctor is all that matters. Now let's look at the bigger picture. Say your country can be technically advanced, but doesn't have the materials needed to push your technology forward. Wouldn't you want the materials needed regardless of their hue, culture, faith, or country? When it matters, race shouldn't be the issue at all. The question becomes, what is best overall? Wise people analyze situations looking for positives. Intelligent people ask questions like, what are the benefits, or how do we make the best ideas work better? I don't like using the word race, as it set up the thought of competition in one's mind. We need to replace the word with the human family, enabling us to realize our oneness on the planet Earth. We are all members or inhabitants of planet Earth, with a significant mutual interest, which is to survive and live the best life humanly possible. something we can't do by competing with one another. Remember, most people having issues with individuals of different hues is completely out of fear. Fear concerning cultural contamination, which is to some degree caused by ignorance and fear of job losses. All this is caused by the monetary monster. Oh yes, the world without money is the only virus killer for the disunity virus surge. Awareness and the new education system. Awareness is the state or ability to perceive, to feel, or to be conscious of events, objects, thoughts, emotions, or sensory. In this level of consciousness, sense data can be confirmed by an observer without necessarily implying understanding. In biological psychology, awareness is defined as a human or an animal's perception and cognitive reaction to a condition or event. The planet is full of diversity. There are different countries, cultures, religions, tribes, and hues. All must be taken into consideration, and all must be considered as important as the next. In the world without money, there must be a new educational system which will help to re-educate people so everyone's values can be reflected and respected. Awareness is a powerful subject, and if made into a lesson plan for young and mature students, the world would be a better and more harmonious place, allowing people to be themselves and at the same time having consideration for others. Awareness heightens us on so many levels, and it's the lack of awareness, the unconscious state, which has led to our lack of understanding in relating to each other properly. The new system would allow the appropriate time to get an education channeled towards the encouragement and fulfillment of individual potential. We can create new lesson plans proficient to provide an opportunity to harness the natural ability of a person. Through more exposure to mind-opening activities to allow students to find their purpose. Oh, this is very critical for the growth and development of the human family as a whole. Now, many young people today want to be sports stars, movie stars, singers, or rappers. Oh, there's no problem with these professions, but, however, most people are attracted to these careers because of the huge potential for wealth. Those of us who are attracted to these jobs based on the love of them and not the financial gain are best suited for them. Everyone likes some entertainment as it relieves stress, and in some cases it can be inspirational and highly therapeutic. However, when we place more emphasis on the evolutionary aspect of the person, it would advance the world and everyone in it. The fact is, finding a career because of money can take you away from your real potential, thus robbing us of the real you. Money and happiness? Let me tell you, money does not bring happiness. I can hear the thoughts of some of you saying, "Give me some money and I'll be happy." If I gave you some money and stated that you're not allowed to spend it, I think your tune would change. Therefore, money must be attached to something just to be relevant, and therein lies the actuality. When people get paid wages after working hard all month, we can't describe the way we feel as happiness. I call it a temporary stress relief, which is a relative of joy, a distant cousin, so to speak. Oh, money pays the bills, yes, but it's not the money making you happy. It's because you have light, gas, and water that makes you satisfied. So, if it's money paying the bills, which gave you some satisfaction or a sense of security, I would wager my last pennies that you would prefer never having to pay another bill again as long as you live, bringing true happiness in relief. This helps us recognize the source can change, nonetheless the result will always be the same. True peace and happiness cannot be bought with money. It can only come with the contentment of mind. And real peace comes with freedom from stress. Fear comes from too much pressure, and when there's too much pressure on people, they break. Pressure is created by the financial burden that the universal monetary system has brought about. Unfortunately, everyone in the monetary system is chasing just that, money. It becomes a vicious cycle which breeds corruption, greed, and hardship. I cannot place enough emphasis on how this system must change for everyone, including the elite, to live a better life of true happiness. The elite class would say, "We are just fine how we are, thank you," and they are just fine, but they could be great. Oh, I know you have airlines and boats living the first-class life, but I promise you, your life could be better without stress. In this system or way of life, stress is something which greets us all when we wake up in the morning. So, as I've previously stated, money cannot bring happiness, and those who think it can need to think again. Departments. No system can run efficiently and be effective at a high level without departments catering to the needs of the people. Now, here are just a few departments I believe necessary in the world without money. Departments of housing, education, food, utilities, industry, census and records, environmental protection, recycling and waste management, with a special department dealing with the training and workforce deployment. These departments would be run by teams which would be headed by a board of directors for efficiency and credibility. These boards would be replicated citywide, like we have councils in different boroughs or district assemblies. The departments would have shared databases for transparency, accountability, and, more importantly, for adeptness. Each department would have needs which link to other departments. For example, the agency dealing with utilities and the Department of Housing would not only need each other, but they'd also require the department dealing with the workforce, training and deployment agencies. Census and records departments let us see the population, births and deaths, health statistics, and everything you can imagine needed to be adaptable and supporting families and individuals. Records would be kept to keep track of everyone and everything for efficiency in making sure all are catered for. All departments are as important as the next, and they'll be the nerve center, intelligence, and engine of the world without money. The education system would be used to educate people on the importance of being committed and responsible as a person living in the world without money. Young and adult teaching and training would be linked to the department leading with the workforce, training and deployment department. These two working together would give the necessary training to people in the areas of environmental protection, property development, agriculture, and health sectors. This is to name a little of how the education system would support the world without money. It would be best for everyone to have an all-round knowledge and training, rather than a limited one. So, departments dealing with the workforce, training and deployment would not be short of people to deploy for work because of a lack of training and technical know-how. This would mean that in the world without money, everyone would have the training needed for survival and self-sufficiency, plus with all hands on deck, people would need to work much less. The aim is for the world without money to be accepted across the planet Earth, giving the department dealing with industries the access to materials from all over the world. This would help our industries to grow efficiently, using the best materials for any individual industry, enabling it to provide the best products for us to use. With the shared information and technology system we would have in place, it will add to the growth and evolutionary progress of the planet Earth. The Department of Environmental Protection would work in close collaboration with the Department of Industry to ensure the protection of the ozone layer and also to make sure anything entering the atmosphere is not harmful to life forms on our planet. Now, the Environmental Protection and Recycling and Waste Management departments would not only be working closely together, but they'd also be working very carefully with the industries for efficiency in waste-related issues. Now, I could continue with how the various departments would work. However, my role in this audiobook is to open your eyes to the possibility of living in a world without money, and also to highlight problems and issues confronting us as people living on this planet right now, in the hope that we can create a better environment for all, rather than just a few. Law. Now, according to Wikipedia, law is a system of rules that are enforced through social institutions to govern behavior. So, basically, laws are man-made and applied by men and women to, quote, regulate conduct, unquote. I'm not anti-law, but if a law is made which doesn't work for the whole, it shouldn't be a law at all. The laws we have now are based or designed around cultural, social, moral, and economic norms, and this can vary from country to country. For example, in the Western world, homosexuality is accepted. Yet in the eastern parts of the world, this type of behavior is not accepted, and also in some countries it's against the law. Problems begin to exacerbate when religious laws also come into play. Muslims have laws and practices which differ from those of the Christian world, Jewish, Hindu, and the Buddhist religions, and vice versa. All these religions have different laws, and these differences will need to be factored into a united planet. We must separate actual universal laws from cultural practices and social habits. A law should be enforceable, while cultural and social norms should be optional. Let me give you an example. Muslims are allowed to marry up to 4 wives. This is classed as polygamy and is against the law in some countries. One person would say, God and the Holy Quran says that it is permitted, and another would say that it's immoral and unfair to women. When you enforce the law against someone having more than one wife, you are not only imposing your will, thoughts, culture, and social habits on another, you are imposing on their religious and moral character, which is highly disrespectful and something wars are fought for. On the other hand, we can use homosexuality as an example. People give religion as a reason why it's condemned, while others believe this action shouldn't be condemned. Because they were born with an attraction to the same sex and thus feel it natural, making any action an infringement on their human rights. The question is, how will these differences be factored into a united planet? I believe every human being to be different and unique. For anyone to want everyone to be the same, whether thinking or acting the same, would be wrong and slightly insane. To be different is a blessing and shows individuality. Can you imagine everyone being the same? I can't. We must accept our differences, even if we don't like the differences between each other. In the world without money, concord is key, and the key to unison is tolerance. But you can't tolerate things you don't understand, and you can't tolerate actions you don't like because it's not part of your culture. Now emotions start to play a role in how we handle one another based on different cultures and social habits, thus making it necessary to have laws which will protect everyone, as human life is most important. The laws will be the borders and not the immigration entry points to countries. When something is made a law, it should be good for the whole. The social and cultural habits we have can still be good for those residing in their own countries, communities and religions. Nevertheless, no one should be allowed to harm anyone because of their beliefs or practice, unless their practices harm others in a physical and non-voluntary way. Where you have laws, you must have law enforcement agencies, so there is a need for police. But with the world without money, the police work would reduce and have a different face. There would also be a need for emergency services for things like natural disasters and such. So the problem is not the fact we have different faiths, hues, language and cultures. The problem is accepting people with their differences. So, for those who find it hard living on a planet, country or city with people you consider different, there would be laws and law enforcement officials to ensure the safety of everyone's human rights to exist and live in peace. Closing. If 99% of our problems can be solved with money, then 99% of our problems are caused because of money. So the question is not if the money system should go. It must go. And go as soon as humanely possible. Now I know the task is a big one, because of our emotional attachment to the way we're living at present. And our thinking has an impact on the outcome of our actions, based on the law of attraction. Taking this into consideration, and knowing the condition we are in as a human family, makes me understand what I'm proposing is tough. Now, writing an audiobook like this, which touches the very fabric of our way of life and asking us to make, may be one of the most important decisions anyone has asked before. Doesn't come easy at all. Also knowing some will welcome this book and some will laugh and call this idea insane, while others may want to take my life for having the audacity to write this book, makes me reflect on all the variables. This book is meant for us to look at our condition as a human family, and the dissatisfaction with oneself because of the economic hardship and system failures as a whole. I believe we can improve our situation, which is now in dire need of a change. It's hard to envisage anyone who, living a satisfactory life, would want to commit crimes, as most crimes are committed so one can raise their standard of living. No one would think of killing people in the name of religion or any other name if their survival were not in danger. If we could raise the standard of living for everyone living on and below the poverty line, peace would be the end result. I would like to take this opportunity to say to the people considered to be in the lower classes and to have negative thoughts about themselves, feeling like a failure, look, don't. You are the engine of this planet, and without you, the elite nor anyone else could have food on their tables, clothes on their backs, or a house to live in. You may not be the designers, but you are the producers. You may not be the architect, but you are the builders. You may not be the politician, but you are the soldiers who risk your life for us every day. You are not a failure. You are a victim of a system which is out of date and is now imploding. You, the poor working class, have made the planet what it is today. I salute you. While some may look down on you, and you may look down on yourself, I've written this book for you. Now the onus is on us as individuals to make up our mind to join or start a movement for real change for our planet. We are the ones most affected by this system and its leaders, so we have to raise the issues. We must show the direction to make the world a better place to live, so our future generations will be safe and have a greater quality of life. This has been The World Without Money, narrated by Peter Baker. Copyright 2018 by Mark Ranger. Production copyright 2018 by Mark Ranger.